Hey guys, Steve here with the weekend update for Saturday, August 9th. Hope you guys enjoyed the week. Hope you guys enjoyed the new video format. Kind of the schedule and everything going forward is going to be what we had last week. So Monday morning will be the stock market outlook. Tuesday will be trade school. Wednesday will be the free trade. We'll update our trade that we put on in Expedia. And Thursday will be the anatomy of a trade. I'll do another video of a trade that we closed for the model portfolio from start to finish. This way you could see everything in one video. So with that said, weekend update. We're gonna just briefly touch on the markets because, like I said, I will touch on them a little further in the stock market outlook on Monday morning. But essentially, we got the bounce pretty much right off the area we had been discussing. We were really discussing the 1900, and I was saying essentially that there really wasn't any support until this 1888, 1887 level. And Friday morning or Thursday overnight, for at least me on the East Coast, we came right into that with some news, and then sure enough, we rallied off of it. So volume I think was lower than normal, which is typical. It looks like on these rallies. So I'd like to see the volume pick up, but it hasn't really done that for a couple years now. So, with that said, do I think Friday is the low? I don't know. It was a nice bounce back off of a support area. It was pretty technical as far as I'm concerned. So, right now with that move on Friday, I would love to see on Monday some follow through, and then we can maybe string a couple positive days together. Same thing with the NASDAQ. We pretty much, pushed lower and bounced right back at that support level we have been discussing. And the Dow was up 160 points. And this was, almost breaking out of this, if you want to call this a little consolidation. Maybe this is going to reverse, come back to the 50-day. But we'll discuss those in a little bit further detail in the stock market outlook on Monday morning. So make sure you guys check that out. As far as our positions go, obviously we had a good day. We closed the portfolio up for the week. So let's take a quick look at our positions. As we said, essentially, we're looking at open profit here of $1,700. Right now we're down in realized gains $752. So at the end of the day, it's about $700 in $1,000 in open profit. I think the actual closing prices were so the portfolio closed $100,878.07. So we're up 0.88%. And as you can see, we were doing very well until 2 weeks ago, and then we really sold off. And now we're trying to recover some of those losses. So this is the whole idea of keeping our losses small, letting our winners run, and see where it takes us. But as far as Apple goes, we pretty much bounced off that support, off the 50-day moving average. So I'm really looking for this again to push higher in this coming week to really signify this being a low. And if this is a low, then we should be able to move our stop up to this 94.47 level. ADM still continuing higher. This was a good move after these 3 days of consolidation. I still kind of consider this to be in consolidation, but the fact that we got a nice closing high is significant in my opinion. AMT, this one keeps running right out of this consolidation area. Now we're up to 98. We entered down here at 90. Right now, unfortunately, our stop is still 90.83, just because the 50-day moving average hasn't really had a chance to move higher. But I'd like to take that and eventually move it to this 92.20, but we have to wait a little bit on that. APD moved higher today off of this previous resistance level, which is now support. Consolidation, 50-day moving average moving higher. Trend line support there. So again, this stop is still 126.92. I'm hoping that this becomes a new stop level, this 131 area. But to move to there, we'd have to see the 50-day moving average obviously continue higher and a breakout over 136. EQR, really just moving sideways off the bottom of this consolidation area that we've drawn in with the 50-day and the trend line right there. I think this is a good spot that it could potentially move higher from here. Expedia, which was holding up extremely well, of course, go figure, on the day that the market was up, Expedia is down. So, this is one reason that you don't really rely on the markets to tell you when to enter and exit a position. And we're going to go over one thing real quick that I just want to bring up to your attention, that it was actually a mistake, whatever. I was short-sighted on our exit in Win, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But, Expedia basically coming back down to this previous resistance level, trend line support moving higher, 50-day moving higher, stop is 77.42, and really that's it. I mean, like I said, it had been holding up well with those days of sell-offs, so it was a little disappointing to see it not move higher today, but not reading too much into that. And last one, Fidelity, really coming down close to this trend line, breaking this level here, this 54.70, had a little bounce. Let's see if it can continue higher. Obviously, if it reverses and goes lower, we'll probably be exiting. So one thing I want to go over was Win. And this is where you have to, I look back at all my exits and kind of, I don't know if it's second guess necessarily, but I was so concerned about the way the market was acting that I never really, I let that kind of play a role in where we exited this trade. Now I agree here that we did break some significant levels. We broke this trend line, we broke 50-day, and we broke this previous low. So I had this trend line drawn in. Because of the market and because I was so concerned on tightening our stops, I never looked at this trend line here that I saw last night. Okay, so here was a low, here was a low, a little bit past the low, and sure enough, look at where we came into. Okay, so this is where you have to kind of determine, and and for me, it was the market was moving down. I wanted to be tight with stops, and that's fine. That was a decision I had made, but in the same respect, it also kind of makes you do things you wouldn't normally do, I would say. Again, this is a valid trend line, no doubt about it. But now looking back at this longer term trend line, looking at the weekly chart, look at where we bounced. We bounced right off of this support area. We bounced right off this support. So again, hindsight being 2020, it's good to see the mistakes that you're making, and hopefully you can adjust them for next time. But like I said, this was a move that, maybe it did break these areas, but maybe we trailed stop too quick. Maybe this wasn't the trend line we should have been going off of. Maybe our stop should have been here. Again, hindsight being 2020, it's hard to pick out what the exact reason was, but it would have been nice to identify this longer term trend line, and then, really be able to stay in the trade a little bit longer. I'm just curious. Yeah, and then there's your channel. Here's your high, here's your highs. So again, hindsight 2020, it is what it is. 2 new trades we are going to enter for Monday morning. Tesoro, TSO. It's been breaking out, holding up well. Here's the setup. Okay, we identified this box last week in the weekend update. We finally got to move above it on Thursday, and Friday it continued higher on the 8th. So we're going to actually enter a position. Our stop is going to be down here. All right, here's going to be our stops, 57.21. So it's going to be almost a 10% stop, which is, fairly wide. But I think with the way that I've seen a couple other stocks react, something like Honeywell, of course, different sectors, but Honeywell. Nope, not Honeywell. I forget which one it was. What's been happening is they've been breaking this level, but bouncing off this level. So what I want to do is anticipate for that, and we're going to actually set our stop 57.20. So it'll be just about $5. or $6 on a $63 stock. So position size will be fairly small, but I think that's okay with the type of action we're having. We don't need to be heroes out there. We just need to put our position on. It's still within our parameters, and let's see how it reacts. So again, we'll be entering Tesoro Monday morning at the open with a stop at 57.20. The other one we're going to be entering is Republic Services. Okay, this is an even better setup. Nice tight setup. Again, closed at 38.71. Our stop is going to be right here, 36.80. We'll call it. Okay, so 36.80 to 38, say 80, $2. So we're about 7.5% on a $38 stock. All right, and again, this is obviously where we're wrong. Okay, same with the weekly. Here's the weekly. You had this nice long breakout or a consolidation. You had a breakout. You came back. You consolidated again, and now you're pushing higher. All right. So here's the consolidation that we're looking at on the daily, on the weekly. All right. So another great setup, another trade to take, and we'll see how that reacts. But this is the whole idea. We're always in the strongest stocks, even though the market's been going down the last few days. We're still finding positions to enter based on our criteria and based on them being the strongest stocks. So, in my opinion, ones that are breaking out on Friday are obviously breaking out because they were strong during the week. That the market was pulling back. There was days that this was up when the market was down. So that's the way I look at these. That's why I like buying breakouts. I know I'm always in the strongest stuff. And, like I said, these are two positions that I'm also going to be entering in my personal accounts. So I'll be trading them right alongside with. All right. So let's now take a look at our new watch list. All right. So there's, maybe 20 stocks in here. Smaller than it's been. I was able to add a couple, but I'll be honest, a lot of these are still around from last week, so we're going to run through them fairly quick, and the ones that are new to the watch list, I'll go through and mark up. So this is Apache. Again, this is something similar to Tesoro that we talked about. I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, how Tesoro was up and a lot of the other stocks in the energy sector were down. This is still a valid trade. It's still moving sideways, right? Still in an uptrend, still above the 50-day moving average. On the weekly chart, you could see this big long consolidation for about almost 2 years, and now we broke out of it and we're moving sideways again. So again, this breakout here would probably be a good entry point, signaling that maybe this is over. Maybe we're going to test these 112 highs, see how that acts. APC, same thing. Still moving sideways, still above the 50-day moving average, barely. But in that consolidation range, earnings have passed, and again, here's a trend line. But then I would also, let's take a look at there could be that trend line. There's a bunch of different ones that you can draw. So let's see how this acts here. But like I said, over this 112 area. Stop at 105. That's a good risk reward in my opinion. Avalon Bay is a new one. Is in the financial sector. Okay, so here's our trend line. We're basically pushing. Let's start with the weekly. We're pushing pretty much right against weekly resistance. Okay, you can see that right here. It's been trending down on the weekly, and it looks like now it's starting to reverse. All right, so now we're starting to get this move higher. So here's that move higher. All right, nice tight trend line. And then you could draw your box however you want. I'm looking more along something like that. So again, this would be one that I would like to see potentially move sideways for a little bit longer. Allow that 50-day moving average to catch up. Allow this consolidation to bring it closer to trend line support. But again, that's a good setup. Over 150 and a stop under 147. Or to be honest, your stop may actually be under this 145 level. Because that looks like it's an area that was resistance, came back, bounced off as support, and it gives you a little bit wider of a stop. Again, just for the market conditions we're in. instead of getting stopped out as quick as we did in Honeywell. Maybe if we set our stop again, same thing. Maybe if we set our stop in Honeywell a little bit looser where we could have, we would still be in the trade. But again, hindsight 2020. Broadcom, same thing, still moving sideways. Tried to break out on earnings, came back to the bottom of the box, so that one's still a valid trade. BXP, if you look at BXP on the weekly, you'll see this consolidation area in here, breakout, and now it's consolidating again. Okay, that consolidation is right here. Something like, maybe something like that. So what I'm looking at BXP is potentially, there's your trend line. Here's your resistance area right here at this 122 level. All right. And again, depends where you want to have stop. You can have your stop at 117 or you can have your stop at 115. Personally, I would probably put it at 115 if we got a breakout now. Just again, set your stops a little wider, positions a little smaller, stay in the trades, let them work, let them get through this more volatile time that we're in, and see if it can work out for you in the long run. CVS, this is one that I'm actually long. Personally, I entered back in here. So here's a consolidation. Okay, on the weekly chart, we're trending higher. Here's this on the weekly. Here's your trend line. All right, something like that. So again, a breakout over this 79 level would trigger a new position, and our stop under 75. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. It's a $4. It's almost a 5 or 6% risk, and you definitely know you're wrong at that point. Disney is one we've been looking at, one that we want to get long, one that I want to add to personally. But again, this is setting up to be a great trade. As quick as we had this big down day testing the bottom of the box, now we're almost back to the top of the box. So a little bit more strength, and we could see a breakout in Disney. Dow, this is another one that I'm actually long. But again, on the weekly chart, moving higher nicely, right? On the daily chart, this big long consolidation. So over this $54 level, great spot to get in. Tested the bottom of the box. So now we have 2 tests, maybe 3 tests of this bottom of the box, bottom of consolidation, and let's see if we can move higher. Over 54 we're in, stop 51. Breaks trend line if it goes lower. So, again, these are good setups, guys. Let's see. Dr. Pepper. Again, here's a trend line. Here's a trend line. All right, so working off the idea of this more accelerated trend line, we also have along that trend line now we have another consolidation. And again, over 62 we're in, and under 58 we're out. Estee Lauder we talked about last week. That one has earnings coming up, but again, testing the bottom of the consolidation area that we identified. Green Mountain had earnings this week, and now it's kind of coming back into that trend line. And now look what's happening on the weekly, right? We're still in this consolidation on the daily, coming into trend line, but also look what's happening on the weekly. We're coming into that trend line. All right, remember when we first started looking at this, I said, this would be great if it actually went sideways to trend line support and then bounced higher. Right now, this 125 area is significant resistance. So if we can move sideways to trend line support, bounce higher off of that, I think it has a better shot of breaking out than it would if it broke out back here. HCP, another one we've been in. All right, here's this coming down. Now it's starting to move higher, it looks like. All right, we're getting some higher lows and higher highs. So right now, here's our consolidation that's identified with this box in here. All right, and this is a similar setup to Amazon, but here's your consolidation. So over 43 we're in, and under 40 we're out. Hess, another one that I really like the setup. Okay, moving sideways, close to breaking out. On the weekly, I mean, can't ask for much of a better setup than that. just continuously moving higher. Every week seems like it's a higher price. We've had, I would say, 6 weeks of consolidation. Earnings have passed, so over 100 we're in, and this would be a real tight stop. This one would be right here under 96.50. We'd be out. H&R Block, this is another one really close to breaking out. We identified this downtrend line, we consolidated, and now we're starting to push higher. So one more box, maybe right above this. I'd say that's a good spot to get in, and we can keep our stop real tight. All right, there's a little bit of a different setup, but with how controlled it's been coming back down and this breakout here, I see no reason you should have to wait till you break out of 33. Maybe it moves to 33 and it does hit some resistance, but the fact is you're getting in with almost $1 stop. IVZ still moving sideways. JWN still moving sideways, close to breaking out. Earnings coming up again. This is what happened last earnings, gapped higher. So maybe this earnings, maybe it's going to gap lower and put in an island reversal. Let's see what happens. Kroger still moving sideways. We identified this last week. Here's your consolidations, really testing the bottom of that box. Right along trend line support, right along the 50-day moving average. Lockheed Martin, this one had broken out. I actually entered long back in here for my personal accounts. Okay, but we never really got the follow through I was anticipating, and now we're back into almost the middle of the box. So I would say now, depending on where it goes, we would need to see a breakout over 170. All right, that would be our trigger to get in. Southwest Air. This is one, if you guys have been following me for a while, this was one of the first positions I put on in the model portfolio originally. And it was based off of this consolidation area. And then we had another, I believe it was right in here. We had another consolidation on the daily, broke out, and that was the entry point. I think it was actually this day here, this January 3rd. And if you look at this trade is still valid today. There would be no reason that you would be stopped out of this trade at this point. Okay, so from getting in at, say, the open on the 6th, 1947, and now you're at 28.28. So you can see the power of trend following right there. It's setting up again, in my opinion. All right, we're getting this sideways movement. We're coming into trend line support, so let's see what happens. But again, this is the power of trend following. So you would be in this position for almost 8 months, and you probably have 19 to 28. You'd have about a 50% gain. Macy's moving sideways. Earnings coming up, so see what happens there, but we're pushing right up against resistance. Marriott, again, moving sideways right at the 50-day moving average. It did break this trend line support, so let's see if it turns around and breaks 63.50, and if so, then it will come off the list. Mead Johnson, again, here's on the weekly. I think this is one we had on last week as well. Weekly consolidation, breakout. Now we're getting this daily consolidation, so we want to see a breakout over 96.37. Stop would then sit at 91. Similar to Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, another defense name. So this again broke out here and failed, came back down, and now it's back in the middle of the box. So nothing wrong with the overall trend. It's just in some consolidation. But let's see, if I would say if this one breaks out, that Lockheed Martin would also break out. But, right now, 128 would be the level we would need to see a close above to enter. Public Storage, this one's been consolidating for a while, right? Look at where it is. It's right above. Let's take this off. It's right below weekly resistance. Okay, so it's just been moving sideways. So maybe this comes back, maybe it fails, comes back down all the way down to 148. Who knows? But right now, consolidating, and a break over 175 would basically put this 169 as our stop, and that would be a good size position as well. PSX is a new one. Again, moving higher on the weekly, right? Here's a couple, maybe it's one big trend, maybe it's one big consolidation. Maybe that's more likely. Maybe that's what it's kind of doing. But again, trend line support coming through. So it looks like there was your trend line. Now it broke. Now it's moving sideways. And here's your daily consolidation. So this one has a little work to do. Over 85 would be a good entry point, and 79 would be a stop. RSG, we went over this. This is when we're entering, so that one comes off. Schwab, same thing. Same weekly consolidation. Here's your daily consolidation. Over 28 is a good entry point. Under 26.50, let's say, is probably a good spot to exit the trade. You're wrong. But again, nothing wrong with the trend. Trend is higher. Again, trend was higher, broke by time, not price. It's not like it came back down like this. And now we're consolidating again for another push higher. Sealed Air, this is one we've kind of talked about for a while. Again, here's your trend line, broke by time, not price. Consolidating now. And let's see where it takes us. But again, you could draw these trend lines any which way you want. Something like that is maybe a little bit more appropriate now. But, let's see if we can get a stop over 35 and a breakdown. If we got to move, this would probably be our low. This 31.60. Simon Property Group, SPG. Again, moving higher on the weekly. Basically right below weekly resistance. Okay, there's your weekly resistance. So now we're consolidating. So I'd like to see this move above 171.25, and our stop would be here at 163.23. Tesoro is another one we're entering. Western Dig. This one's a great looking setup. Again, here's your weekly breakout, moving higher. Here's your nice trend line higher. And here's your new consolidation. So over 102 is a good spot to get long. And with this one, it's a little bit more difficult to determine a good stop level, in my opinion. I would probably set it down here at this 93 level. Only for the reason that we could easily break this $98 level, come back down to the 50-day, and move higher off of that. So what I would do is I would set my stop right here, 93.61, 93.60, on a break over 102. And last one is WMB, another energy name. Again, this one gapped higher and has moved sideways since. Right now, it basically tested the bottom of consolidation, right? It tested the top of this gap in here. Here was the gap. Right in there, there's the gap. So it tested that, which was also the 50-day moving average. So again, if we can get a push over 59, our stop would be right here at 54.50. All right, so again, it's not a complicated process here, guys. We're looking for high quality setups that are, our stop is very well defined, our risk is very well defined, and we're willing to risk a certain amount of money, whatever that works out to be in your case, and to see if we're right. And if we're right, we're usually right, for a big gain. We're wrong more often than we are right, as you can see with the model portfolio right now. Closed win percentage is 20%. All right, but that's based off of all of our closed positions. So the intention is a lot of small losses. Of course, we had these 3 that didn't help our cause with earnings gaps and gaps below our stop, and everything like that. And unfortunately, that's something that you can't really account for. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. But again, something that you can't account for, but the fact is, it is what happened, and we just have to move on from that. So like I said, that's basically it. That's the watch list for the week. Definitely check out the other videos during the week. Make sure you check out the Stock Market Outlook on Monday morning, and follow me on StockTwits, Twitter, Google Plus, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then again, if you're someone that doesn't follow these social media networks, you can also sign up at the website for the nightly recap, where I will be sending emails with the video links for each video, the morning and the evening video, to your inbox directly for easy viewing. With that said, guys, have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning.